Do you drive a mid-sized car? Millions of Americans do. They're the best-selling vehicles on the road today. But how safe are they? That's what the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety wanted to know. So it put some of the 2006 models to the test. The crash test. Chief Consumer Correspondent Lee Thompson has the exclusive results in this Dateline Consumer Alert.
To look at all this broken glass and mangled metal, it is hard to imagine anybody could survive crashes like these.
This is our sled test area.
But remarkably, you can, says Adrian Lund of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety.
And here's where
That is, if you choose the right car. This is the sophisticated, state-of-the-art crash hall the insurance industry built. The goal here is to improve safety and reduce claims for insurance companies. In this latest round, 7 popular mid-size cars were put through 2 tough tests. The first one simulates a high-speed frontal collision, the leading cause of deaths and serious injuries on America's roads.
serious front crashes often occur on 2-lane roads like this, where one vehicle drifts across the center line a little bit and the driver's sides of the 2 vehicles hit each other head on.
Unlike 10 years ago when the Institute first started this test, most new cars now do very well. So well, a person could literally walk away from this 40-mile-per-hour crash. That's the case for the first 2 luxury cars in this test, the $33,000 BMW 3 Series and the $34,000 Lexus IS. But the far less expensive $22,000 Pontiac G6 also does well. All 3 cars get the Institute's highest rating, good. And there's hardly a crack in the windshield.
This is what the engineers have learned to do, build the structure so that it absorbs all of that crash energy up front and gives you and your restraint system time to ride the crash down.
But not all cars do as well. This is the $22,000 Ford Fusion.
We saw high loads on the dummy's right leg. For that reason, we rate this vehicle acceptable and not good.
Initially, the Institute says it found a real problem when it sent the $22,000 Hyundai Sonata down the runway. Watch the seat.
Notice it goes all the way up here past the dummy's head. It needs to stay in place to keep you from flailing around inside.
Would you call this a failure?
This is a failure of the seat, exactly.
So what happened?
The safety belt actually got tangled up with the seat back recline lever. It actually lifted on the lever, allowing the seat to be loose in the car.
And what was the fix?
The fix was to put this little tang on the end of the lever so that in the crash, when the belt is sliding forward, it can't slide past that and get behind the lever.
And it worked.
And it worked.
Without the fix, the Sonata is rated poor. But Hyundai has recalled nearly 36,000 cars in order to repair the seat. If you get it done, the Sonata moves to a good. The next test is much harder to pass. It simulates a side crash, the second deadliest accident, which Lund says usually happens at intersections.
I'm pulling out, and if they don't see me or don't see the red light, then they hit me at their speed, say 30 or 40 miles an hour, and it's a very severe collision.
That sled represents the front end of a pickup truck or SUV, high off the ground and heavy. And it barrels in right at the dummy's head at 31 miles per hour. Lund says cars need a strong structure and must have some way of protecting both the head and body. The Institute always tests vehicles with standard equipment. The first car up, the Ford Fusion. It comes standard with no side airbags.
We have direct contact between the dummy's head and the barrier. We also see high risk of internal organ injuries, rib fractures, and pelvic fractures.
On the side test, the Fusion gets a poor, the lowest rating. So does the Pontiac G6, another car without side airbags as standard equipment. Lund says the structure collapses too much.
The barrier is actually striking the driver dummy's head. So this is a high risk, serious brain injury, skull fracture. This is a potentially fatal crash.
But watch what happens if you buy the G6 equipped with optional side airbags. Here on the left, no airbags. On the right, airbags to protect the head plus one to protect the body.
Notice the difference here. This driver will survive this crash without serious injuries.
With airbags, an extra cost of $700, the G6 gets an acceptable, the second highest rating. The next 5 cars tested won't cost you anything extra to get those side airbags. They come as standard equipment. Here's the $33,000 Infiniti G35, the $28,000 Acura TSX, and the even less expensive Hyundai Sonata. All have good head protection, but because their side structures collapse too much, Lund says there could be internal injuries. So all 3 are rated acceptable. In comparison, the structure on the BMW 3 Series is slightly stronger.
Good enough to get a good rating.
And even better in the Lexus IS.
This is a poster child for how we want manufacturers to make their vehicles. It looks good. The dummies say it's good. It's a good vehicle.
All of these midsize cars meet federal safety standards or they wouldn't be on the road. Both GM and Ford note their cars do as well as other moderately priced midsize cars without side airbags. GM encourages all customers to purchase side airbag protection. It says this test shows their value. In fact, GM's G6 will come standard with head curtains in 2007 models. And just this weekend, Ford announced it will make both body and head protecting side airbags standard infusions starting in September. What you do here is very precise. How does that relate to what happens on the real highway?
The real world is a lot messier. However, vehicles that do well in our very precise tests are going to do better in the range of crashes that occur in the real world and on the highway.
Just recently, the Institute began giving out what it calls its top safety pick awards to the cars and trucks that do best in the crash tests. In the latest round, awards went to the BMW 3 Series and the Lexus IS. To find out how your car might have done in these tests and to learn more about what the car companies have to say, visit our website. The address is dateline.msnbc.com.